Alright guys, this card may change the game. In fact, Cyberstorm Access is looking to really shape up the next upcoming meta. Now, this card will give you the effect of draw 2 cards every single time it's your draw phase, so it's pot of greed forever. But what's the trade-off? Well, let's go ahead and hop right into it. So, there's a brand new card that people are freaking out about. It's called Time Rendering Morganite. So, some people are saying it's OP, some people are saying it's terrible. It's basically 50-50, and I'm curious to know what you guys think of it. So, like I said, it does have the effect of pot of greed, but it's during the entire duel you apply each of these effects. So, the first part of the effect is you cannot activate the effects of monsters in the hand. That's the whole duel, okay? This is not like till the end phase or whatever. You cannot use any hand traps, anything that's like reveal this card in your hand for anything. I think at this point, Quackimiros would just lose. Now, what you could do is force your opponent to activate this card too, and maybe you can make it so they can't activate hand traps if you were to, I think it's like bait doll. There are certain Yu-Gi-Oh cards that let you like manipulate, like you swap cards, and then I guess you could bait doll it or something like that, in that kind of a way, right? Anyways, the other effect is, this is where it becomes really overpowered, or some people think this is trash. Well, this effect is good. It's just this effect is pretty bad, right? But you get to draw 2 cards when you conduct your normal draw. And on top of that, you can normal summon / set up to twice per turn. So this is where this actually becomes pretty good for a lot of slower decks, right? I'm talking about flip effect decks, because flip effect decks don't really see that much play, but it's during the entire duel as long as you get the effect of this card, right? So, that's pretty big. I mean, if you're able to play a deck that can basically set like Morphing Jar and, I don't know, this Needle, is it just Needlebug? The Needlebug Nest is, I believe, the trap card, but if you run like Needlebug and you're able to like recycle and keep on like adding cards from the graveyard back to your hand that are like a certain level, I mean, this could be pretty broken for like Empty Jar, because being able to set, you know, twice, because in Yu-Gi-Oh, you only get to set once, right? And that's a huge deal for Empty Jar deck out decks. But there's another effect, is that you can banish this card from your graveyard and discard 1 Time Rendering Morganite. During this turn, when you normal summon a monster, your opponent can't activate the effects of monsters. So as long as you just normal summon, right? You have to have the effect of it discarding another Time Rendering Morganite and have one in the graveyard. This effect, because some people are like, dude, this is busted, just run multiple copies of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this, because obviously it's going to be a card that's very controversial. It has some pretty good upsides, but also has some downsides. Now, there are some archetypes that cannot play with, let's say, you know, cards, you know, that would be hand traps anyways. One archetype that cannot literally play any hand traps in most scenarios is like Infernity, although there were times where people would play just the Maxi, they would just activate Maxi, therefore they'd just play 1 copy of it, because, you know, you just activate it just because it was so good to potentially have, like, you know, turn 1, maybe your opponent goes first, right? But the thing is that, yeah, they normally wouldn't want to have any cards in your hand, but the thing is, you draw 2 cards, right? Then you'd have to set 1, and then, you know, sometimes the cards are like, when you draw it, and it's the only card, blah, 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 it goes on, right? But what are the archetypes that you guys can see running this card? And the first question is this card actually good? It's got some pretty cool artwork on it. Almost reminds me of like some sort of stone, almost reminds me of Caius, but not that it really matters. But yeah, would you guys consider this card OP? Is it underwhelming? Is it trash? Because I've seen a lot of people say it's trash. I've seen people say it's overpowered. Remember that you're activating this, you know, obviously immediately you don't get the draw effect, but it's going to be pot of greed every single time for your following turn. However, you have to keep in mind, all of the hand traps in your entire deck would then become minus, unless you're playing a deck that can have multiple effects. Some decks, you know, you can have a hand trap, and you know, it's for its own like archetype, and you know, you discard it to search out another card, or you have other uses. But for the most part, the meta ones, the Veilers, the different the ghosts, and all those other ones like Church, I feel like losing out on Ash Blossom is pretty big, because remember, it's during the entire duel. So, what do you guys think about this card? I'm kind of curious down below. Obviously, we got to play with it and test some other things out that'd be a little bit more slowing. I'm thinking about like slower decks, like Crawlers. Who's playing Crawlers in 2023, right? But for the most part, yeah, Empty Jar would be the only one that I can think of that maybe some people will try to come up with good ideas. Being able to set twice per turn could be pretty good too. But anyways, yeah, let me me your thoughts on the time rendering Morganite. Is it good? Is it bad? But thanks for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on that bell so you don't miss out. When someone figures out maybe some broken gameplay with it, we'll be dropping it, so you don't want to miss out. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one, and I'm signing out. Peace.